We make sure we sell and formulate products that really work on your skin, transform it, make it plumper, smoother, glowier, but also are pleasurable to work.
Has building a premium beauty brand been a challenge in the clean beauty space?
From a consumer perspective, shifting their perspective that, clean and performance can be in one brand has been a little bit more of a challenge.
Have you found the need to actually just educate your consumers about what your products have in them and how they work?
We really rely on our clinicals and our science-backed ingredients and really pushing the science messaging from the brand's perspective to really educate consumers.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Andres Figueira and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And today, with me here, I am speaking with Jana Kleemeier, Director of Creative and Brand Marketing at True Botanicals, a company that creates luxurious, consciously crafted formulas that are clinically proven to work, powered by the most potent, sustainably sourced plant actives. And with that said, Jana, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Andres. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem at all. I must admit, this is the first company I'm talking to that's about sourcing plant actives. So would you be able to give the audience a bit more context, Jana, and just tell us in your own words what True Botanicals is and what you guys do?
I mean, you kind of nailed the nail on the head, but True Botanicals, how I like to describe it, it's a beautiful luxury skincare brand that's all about high performance and high pleasure. So when it comes to high performance, we make sure we sell and formulate products that really work on your skin, transform it, make it plumper, smoother, glowier, but also are pleasurable to work. I'm sure everyone can relate to having a cleanser or moisturizer that just kind of feels sticky or tacky or too thick or doesn't really, you don't enjoy the experience of it. But with True Botanicals, the sensoriality of it, the smell, the feeling just really is what sets it apart. Happy to go into plant actives, but that's the overview on True Botanicals.
Okay, I love that. And I do get what you're saying when it can feel a bit not as luxurious when you're placing the different skincare products that you might find around. And it's really nice that you're leaning into it because skincare, I feel it has become something really big as of 1 or 2 years ago. And now it's everything I hear about. At least my girlfriend is very into skincare now. And I'm even a bit more into it than I was before, I must admit.
Amazing. I feel like COVID really put it on the map. COVID was the time where everyone was just at home, looking at themselves on Zoom and just, looking inward. You didn't really go outside and put on makeup. So I think COVID was a time where skincare really rocketed and it's held on.
Wow, I love that. I love that. And Jana, how did you enter the skincare industry? Have you always been doing this or can you tell us a bit more about your journey?
Yeah, my journey. So I have a marketing degree, communications marketing. And when I graduated college, I was always eyes on consumer brands. I was I want to work for a consumer brand or a tech brand, really brands that people know and have emotional connections to. So I joined a PR agency and I worked on their consumer team. So I led brands like GoPro and Fitbit and consumer tech brands. And then from there, I moved on to tech. I was in San Francisco. So I was that's the natural fit, do the tech thing for a little bit. I worked at Snapchat. And then I was this feels so tech bro-y. I feel I'm hitting a ceiling here, not a lot of room for growth. But I love working on content and the pace of it and feeling I can relate to the product. But from Snapchat is really when I entered the beauty world. And I started working at Kendo Brands, which is owned owned by
Mm-hmm.
LVMH, and it's a sister brand to Sephora. And that's where I really hit my stride and felt like I connected with other like-minded people, really hardworking women. And I looked at leadership and I was like, I want to be you. Versus before, I was kind of like, I don't want to be any of you, you know? I'm like, I like the companies I work for or the brands that I represent, but I'm like, doesn't feel right. But really in the beauty world, it's very fun. You have to be very creative. So I worked at Kendo Brands, which represents like Fenty Beauty, Marc Jacobs Beauty, Ulla Henriksen. And then from there, I worked there for a few years and then I moved to True Botanicals, so into skincare.
That's amazing. Like I'm surprised that I recognize so many brands that you've worked with because I've talked to other people and I hear their journey, but I don't recognize as many. But you've been around. That is so cool that you worked in Snapchat and then passed on to beauty and all these like mother umbrella brands that have these smaller names that are so recognizable. That's crazy. And then you feel that with beauty is where you were able to actually maximize your creative expression in the campaigns that you did and how you were able to what's it called to be with your colleagues, because when you mentioned the tech broy environment, I do get that. So I understand why you might have felt that it would be best to just leave that environment.
100%. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's everyone's different with their approach to work. Some people can, just heads down, do their work. I feel like I really need to connect with the people in the workplace. And not that I didn't at Snapchat, but I was just kind of like, it's a different culture. And as a woman, and yeah, just like the lack of representation, I felt like. Versus in the beauty space, I felt like it was very inclusive, no idea was a bad idea. It didn't feel like a bros club. I felt like I can't speak to every beauty company, but really I've been really lucky at the places I've worked and felt like empowered to, um, you know, have a seat at
Mm-hmm.
the table.
No, I understand. I understand. That's amazing. And Jana, going back then to True Botanicals, I feel that Botanicals represents like a clean beauty space, and it just promotes sustainability and making clean beauty products that don't hurt anybody and that they are very what's it called? They can be made in the long run and not produce any collateral issues with the environment or anything like that. So has building a premium beauty brand been a challenge in the clean beauty space?
I wouldn't say it's been a challenge. I think it's been a big white space because I think a lot of the premium or luxury brands aren't clean. And I think, but also what is clean? Like what does it even mean? And I think there's a lot of ambiguity and a lot of greenwashing in this space. And so I feel actually really proud that I work for a company that doesn't just say clean, but when we mean it, like very deep within the brand, everything we do, being clean is at the heart of what we do. Um,
Okay.
and I could go on, but I wouldn't say it's been a challenge. But I think maybe what is challenging from the consumer perspective is shifting that like clean doesn't just mean or clean and performance can be synonymous. Because I think
Okay.
there's been a misconception that clean means it doesn't work or it's made with like ineffective ingredients. But our founder really sought out to challenge that. She has a whole a very inspirational cancer story. She was diagnosed and her doctors, went to her and was like, watch out for these ingredients. And so she was flipping what she ate, what she put in her body, what she put on her body, and found when it came to skincare, there were products that were formulated without a list of ingredients. But when it came to putting it on or seeing results, she really found that there wasn't anything that fit her. And so she sought to really challenge the industry. And so for that, I really applaud her. And it's been amazing to work for a brand that really challenges that and works. But I think from a consumer perspective, yeah, shifting their perspective that, yeah, clean and performance can be in one brand, has been a little bit more of a challenge.
Okay, no, I understand what you mean because I do feel that people can assimilate the cleanliness with it being of a less quality or not being as effective. And in this journey, then, have you found the need to actually just educate your consumers about what your products have in them and how they work, or have they actually just been very, what's it called? just very trusting in True Botanicals and just knowing that what you provide is something that will serve them as they need.
We say to try True Botanicals is to love it. So I think people who actually, stick to our serum for 4 weeks really see the results. And so they trust it. But I think, getting people to enter has been, we really rely on our clinicals and our science-backed ingredients and really like pushing the science messaging from the brand's perspective to really educate consumers. And so that's been super successful. And then also just word of mouth, people will see other like our consumer skin and be like, what are you using? And then that in itself is just word of mouth, really just working for us. But I think once you try it, you fall in love.
Okay, no, word of mouth is like the best reputation. When you see somebody with beautiful skin glowing and you're like, what did you do? And then it's, oh, True Botanicals right here.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the best type of advertising.
And it doesn't
Uh,
hurt to have celebrities, running that.
oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. And in terms of demographics and the type of customer that you usually serve, Jana, do you have a certain or average person that usually buys your products, or do you feel that it's a mix of everybody, all ages?
I would say it's more US based. We do distribute in Canada and at Cult Beauty in the UK, but I would say we have a big appetite in the US. We are a Mill Valley brand, so especially in Northern California, we have like a cult following over here. Um, but I would say when it comes to age range, I would say we're like core millennial skewing some Gen X boomer. But I would say like 35 to 45 is probably the heart of our demo. We'll skew a little bit younger, new and expecting moms are really out there looking to flip their skincare because when you get pregnant, you're like, oh, can't use retinol, can't use this. And so we're really proud to be like, all of our ingredients are pregnancy safe. And so this is your opportunity to change your routine and shop True Botanicals. So I think the new and expecting mom is also like a big demo that we've been really speaking and capturing her heart. But yeah, I would say coasts and then 35 to 45.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So it actually is a lot of different people, and that's super cool. And in terms of how they can acquire your products, do you guys have a physical store or is it just online?
We did actually right before COVID hit. We had one in San Francisco, a beautiful flagship, but now you're able to try our products in Nordstrom stores, all stores at Nordstrom. You're able to shop it at Air One if you want to grab a smoothie, shop some True Botanicals. We're in Credo Beauty. We're obviously on Amazon. We're available at, I'm sure I'm missing a few. Cult Beauty I mentioned in the UK.
Okay, and so then you don't have just like you don't have your own store, but you're in these other, what's it called? I know they have several brands, but
Retailers.
retailers. That's
Yes.
the word. That's the word. Thank you so much. And in terms then, you're in UK, Canada. Is there any plans for further expansion, or do you want to lean into the markets that you're in right now and just make sure you own those?
Yeah. Would love to expand. I have friends in East Asia and they're like, bring True Botanicals here, it would do so well. They're all about skincare. But I think right now we're really planning on deepening our roots in the US locally and really activating here. Maybe I'll see a pop-up in the future, who knows? But I think right now we're really trying to sink our teeth here.
Okay, okay. If you ever want to do a pop-up in Argentina, I'll be right there because I
Oh
live
my
in
God,
Buenos Aires. And I know True Botanicals would be a hit here too.
I love it. How is the like what's the appetite like for skincare in Argentina?
So everybody is really into skincare, but I think True Botanicals would be amazing here because everybody's into sustainability and they're into the cleanliness of the products. People really care about where they come from and how they're made, and the greener you are, I feel the more accepted you are by the general public. And that's why I feel True Botanicals could actually be like a really nice thing to add here with a lot of brands coming into the country. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see. I feel like Gen Z is shifting the perspective, and when they shop, they're looking for sustainability and how ingredients are sourced. And so I really applaud them, and I'm excited for them to enter, the mid late 20s stage. Actually, I think Gen Z is late 20s. Um, but I'm excited for them to get into True Botanicals.
No, yeah, I learned a lot more because I'm originally from Venezuela, and Venezuela isn't the country that pays most attention to where the cleanliness of the products and where they're from or anything like that. It's more whatever you can find. But when I got here to Argentina, I noticed that the normal consumer is a lot more selective, and they are very, very inclined to buy the best product that helps the world and the environment. So I feel True Botanicals would
Yeah.
be really cool here.
I mean, you asked about our consumer, and when we talk about her, we say that she's very discerning when it comes to what she puts in her body and on her skin. And so maybe she's in Argentina and I just didn't know.
Could be, could
Maybe.
be. And okay, Jana, so you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that you've worked with tech consumer products, you've worked in tech companies, and now you're in the beauty industry since a while ago already. But do you have, or do you know how your marketing philosophy has evolved throughout those different industries that you've worked in?
My marketing philosophy. Yeah. I mean, I think the cultural landscape has evolved too. So it's like while I've shifted, it's because of culture shifting. And so I would say, I mean, now more than ever, I mean, who cares about like out of home billboard? Everyone's just on their phones. So like I worked at Snapchat and it was all about an app on the phone, and that was like, I don't know, 2017, and now more than ever people's screen times are insane. And so I think when it comes to marketing, I mean, they say the future CMOs have like we're social media coordinators at some point, like
Okay.
having that language down of like knowing how to growth hack on social and appeal to people online is like huge when it comes to marketing. And so I would say having like a social first philosophy is really big, but it's interesting. I feel like this year and maybe late 25, we've seen kind of a counterculture of shifting. Gen Z's trying to reduce their screen time and people are trying to really figure out how to not be on their phones. And so I'm really curious to see, I think we're seeing an increase in pop-ups and experiential marketing. And so that's been really fascinating. But yeah, I think as I've grown, I've learned like best practices in branding and creative. And so, um, yeah, I feel like there's so much to say, but,
No, no, I understand what you mean, and when you mentioned that like these new generations, they're actually trying to be less on their phone and the rise of pop-ups and all of that. I feel like analog is coming back because everything is about doing it less on your phone. If you have like an Apple Watch, it's weird. It's better to have like a Casio, an old school one, and
oh,
I
that's so
feel that
funny. Yep.
the trends are changing to that, and it's so
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, yeah, just in a world of AI, people are, I think, yearning to connect in real life. You're seeing it in design trends. What's trending now is like more handwritten and looking very authentic and showing your personality instead of like everyone can go to ChatGPT and be like, make me a beautiful like Instagram post and write a caption. Like anyone can do that. But when you can really flip that on its head and show that you kind of didn't use that and you're not like digitized robot, that's when I think you really stick out.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing where the real value lies now, and it's like even with fast fashion, they make these million bazillion what's it called outfits and different types of clothing, and they make them so fast and they make them in mass. And now, if you have something that was handmade by a very special person that you inherited through three generations of your family, then that's the actual clothing that is
That's
worth something.
luxury. Yeah, that's
That's the
a
luxury.
symbol. Yeah, that's a status. I think people are looking for a story, a statement piece, a talking piece at a party. People like, where did you get this? Oh, I thrifted it from my trip to blah, 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 instead of like, oh, I shopped it from this influencer's shop my link. People really
Yeah.
want like an experience. And yeah,
No, no, no. That I feel what you say when you're mentioning that there's a shift in the way that people are thinking, and I think it's also good. It's just showcasing the best things that we have to offer. But it does need some getting used to and knowing how to market to that. And in terms of when you mentioned what you've learned and everything like that, you said that you learned a lot of best practices, Jonna. Do you have any best practice that you disagree with? That you say, hey, maybe this is not the way to go.
I think it's really good to look at competitors and look to the side and be like, what are other people doing? But I think if you're copying other people, you're behind. And so I think trends are good as long as it connects with the core of who you are and there's a reason you're tapping into a trend. So not just going into a trend because, you're trying to go viral, but really think if you're adding value by hopping onto a trend. And so I would say just not looking to the side and knowing exactly who you are as a brand to really push the conversation forward and not just looking like everyone else. And that's when you really stand out.
And Jana, now I want to shift the perspective. I know we've talked a lot about like your journey and what True Botanicals is, but I'd also love to know about your team and how many people compose True Botanicals, how many people you have helping you out.
We are a team of 30 at True Botanicals, and on my team, I have a team of 8. And so I lead creative and brand marketing. So under brand marketing, we have PR, influencer marketing, social marketing, and then on the creative side, we have a associate creative director and then a couple designers under her.
And now this is a question I do in all my podcasts, but with the rise of AI, how have you guys managed, or are you leveraging it in any particular way that is helping you out during your day to day?
Yeah, great question. I think also as a sustainable brand, we have a duty to really limit in a way and use our brains as much as possible. But I believe in using AI obviously to scale and to like save time and efficiency. But when it comes to creative, I have a POV of like really, hiring the photographer and coming up with the art direction and really like old school, like get out there and shoot the thing. Sure, you can like use Gemini and like create an image, but I really believe our consumer knows if something is generated by AI. So I just don't think it connects with our core value. But I think when it comes to ideating and, copywriting, getting ideas, I think that's when you can use it. But I really don't like to just copy paste and be like, oh, so heavily reliant on AI. But I think we've been using it to like, optimize efficiencies and, brainstorm for sure, for sure. But I think when it comes to creative, I'm a little more hesitant.
No, and I totally get that because like the regular consumer, even myself, like going through Instagram, you can totally tell when something was AI generated or if it was not. So if it is and it feels AI generated, it then starts to feel fake because that's what I believe people are like connecting it to.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but I think fake works when it comes to brands that really lean on technology and message technology and like innovation. And not that we don't, innovation is at the heart of everything we do, but authenticity is also at the heart. And to me, AI doesn't feel authentic at times. And it's like people want to feel emotionally connected to our brand. They want to feel like it's a person. There was thought, there was intention. And not that there isn't with AI, but there's just not a human element there at times. And so I I make it a priority, of course, to use it to optimize efficiencies and scale, but be just mindful in how much we're relying on it.
And Jana, I'm also curious about something else with True Botanicals. Are you guys a remote first company, or do you have different offices around like the States or maybe in Canada?
Yeah, we are a hybrid. I would say we work on a hybrid work culture. So a lot of us are in the Bay Area. So Marin, San Francisco. I'm in San Francisco. So I go to the office a couple times a week, but we have a remote team on the East Coast or in LA, and they'll get together sometimes and we'll have team meetings or photo shoots and like company events. And so I think coming together at times is really, really important, especially like at the end of every year, or every quarter. But we have a hybrid.
So you're not outsourcing in any other countries, such as, for example, Argentina or anything like that, but it's mainly in the
We
States where
are
you guys have.
outsourced in Argentina. I feel like we might need to. I think our consumers there, we might need to tap in. No, we're not outsourcing. No, we're
Okay.
fully US.
I'm noticing, Jana, that we're almost at time, but before I finalize the episode, I have one more question for you, and it's just to know what is True Botanicals and your priority for this 2026 that has just begun? What do you expect and what do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months?
I would say, I mean, I feel like this is probably any marketer or business leader's answer is just to really scale the company. I think we've gotten to a really good place when it comes to brand. And so we have a really exciting rollout coming out. So that's probably my priority is from the brand perspective, really rolling that out in 26 and then really scaling the business.
I love that. No, and I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. With how I hear that you guys are working and what you're doing, I have no doubt that True Botanicals is just going to grow and keep on growing. So,
Yeah, we're excited. I feel like there's a huge wellness kick in we saw it in 25, but everyone's talking about longevity and wellness, and it's like, oh, this is who we are. Like, this is amazing. So
it's our time now.
it's our time to shine, and so I'm really excited for this year, just from where the cultural zeitgeist is and where we are. I feel like it's the stars are aligning. I'm very
That is beautiful. And that is exactly what I've been calling luck for a while now. So it's when opportunity meets preparation. So if True Botanicals is ready to grow and explode with this trend and everything that's happening right now, I'm sure you guys will because it sounds like it. And with that said, I also want to thank anybody in the audience who is still here with us and really appreciate you hopping on the episode with us. And just know that we hope you come back to listen to the different personalities that we talk to and all the industries that we're learning about. So with that said, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good one.